Hi, everybody. Welcome to Mark's Backyard Birds. It is late summer, although for birds, it's already the start of fall. Today, we're mainly talking about hummingbirds and what goes on in their life right now. You've no doubt seen changes in your hummingbird numbers recently in most of the country. I know you guys up north may have already thinned out a bit. You guys in the south haven't seen a real influx yet, but right here in the heart of the country, we're starting to see big numbers of hummingbirds at feeders that all summer we probably saw one or two or three here with the ruby throats. Now, you guys out west with many different species at higher elevations. This video may apply to you in a certain sense, but for the most part, I'm talking about ruby throated hummingbirds in the eastern 2/3 of the U.S. So, what's going on? Well, at the end of nesting season, which is just concluded, and the babies are starting to fledge, you get this strong influx of hummingbirds at your bird feeders. You have all the adult males, the adult females are still around, and the babies. So you get this automatic increase in the number of hummingbird feeders. And this is hummingbirds at your feeders. And then a lot of people ask me, what should I do? How can I help them? Well, what's going on is they're fueling up right now. They have to increase their body weight significantly to make this journey to their wintering grounds down in the Yucatan Peninsula and Mexico and northern South America, where they're headed for the winter. And it takes a lot of calories to do that. So your hummingbird feeders with that nectar is a good source for them to gain weight. And also your native landscaping, your potted plants, your hanging baskets. Those are all going to help you in these coming weeks. So what are some of the first things people try? Well, and the first thing I get asked a lot is, do I add more hummingbird feeders? Now, this is commonly seen right now where it wasn't just a few weeks ago. This is 4 juvenile hummingbirds around a feeder. And unless you have a lot of hummingbirds, you typically don't get to see this because the dominant males and the dominant females chase away other birds, especially that dominant male during the nesting season. And the young birds, they fledge, they don't know what's going on. They just want to eat. And they fly around and they see these hummingbird feeders. They go, oh, yeah. And they start drinking. All of a sudden, an adult comes and chases them away. Very common sight this time of year. And to help that, a lot of people do add more feeders. This is my friend James has so many hummingbird feeders in his yard up in New Jersey, and it really helps spread out the pressure, because whenever a male or even an adult female this time of year, they have sight line on a feeder, they're going to dominate it. They're going to, think of the old movie Finding Nemo, where the little crab goes, mine, 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 and that is what these hummingbirds are doing right now. They're eating as much as they can, and by adding feeders, that can help. But also remember, the hummingbirds will chase and defend several hummingbird feeders if they can see them. They'll get a perch spot and they'll chase them off of that feeder. Then they'll come to this one. So if you can break sight lines, like a front yard hummingbird feeder and a backyard hummingbird feeder, or if you've got like a big tree in your backyard and you can put one on one side of the tree and one on the other side of the tree, those kind of things help those other hummingbirds to get in there and to eat some. The other thing people do this time of year is add larger capacity feeders. Now, in our area, we don't, for the most part, we don't have a lot of hummingbirds during the nesting season. So one hummingbird feeder of a fairly small capacity will get you through the summer. But this time of year, they're going through it faster, and you don't want to have to fill it 3 times a day. So you add a larger capacity feeder. Now, that doesn't mean you don't need to change the nectar as often. You do definitely need to. Even if you have more in it, you still have to keep that nectar source clean, meaning cleaning your feeders. Our heat indexes are over 100, well over 100 this week, and you need to change that nectar at the most every other day, at the least every other day. I should say it that way. You shouldn't let it go more than a couple of days out there in the sun, and clean it out, put it back out. That's much healthier for the hummingbirds, believe me. And then other bird, other larger capacity feeders like the 32-ounce bottles versus the 16-ounce bottles. I wouldn't go through 32 ounces of hummingbird nectar in my yard, even at the height of migration, which is just starting. But if you go through a lot of them, I understand why you want to use those higher capacity feeders, because now those adult males, adult females, and babies are being joined by northern birds. But if you're not getting a lot of activity, even in migration, you would probably should stick with your smaller feeders. You're going to waste a lot of sugar water if you're changing it out properly, if you definitely are rotating that nectar out of there. So you don't want to waste a lot. But it just depends on the volume of activity you have at your hummingbird feeders. Of course, the way to help, the easiest, most important way to help is water. Right? And if you watch me regularly, you know I am always talking about water. This is a mister that is blowing a fine mist of water. This is great to use in your landscaping. He has it over his bird bath, so a little bit at least gets into the bird bath, but it waters those beautiful red flowers. And he also has a bubbler there to the right, which bubbles the water up, and hummingbirds can get down to that as well. But they love flying through the mist. But having sources of water this time of year are critical. Outside of the dead of winter when everything's frozen and having a heated bird bath, this is the other time that water is extremely critical for them. So just let your sprinklers run on. If you've got sprinklers, you're going to water your grass, or make sure they spray a little bit on your bushes, and the birds will sit in there, and the hummingbirds will sit in there on a limb, and they'll let the water drip off on them. They have to have it. So always water. Then, of course, your landscaping. This is how you can feed a lot of hummingbirds. If you landscape plan and make sure you've got, if you've watched any of our programs about selecting hummingbird flowers, the best flowers for hummingbird, we talk about them having them bloom all through the summer, the season for them. So there's always nectar available. But in the fall, a lot of nectar is really important for the reasons we're talking about today. There's so many of them. And I am not the plant expert, but I can tell you when I try to talk about plants and I try to answer questions about plants, there's so very much variation between zone 1, zone 11, zone 3, zone 4, all these different parts of the country where plants do better in the certain regions, that we recommend that you contact your local conservation department, and they should have information to get you in touch with local native plant nurseries and in your area that specialize in the plants that should be in your area and should grow and should bloom different times of the year. And I've got some pictures here of some of my favorites that bloom late in the season: the skullcap on the bottom right, the shrimp plant up on the upper left, the cardinal flower at the bottom left, which is my favorite, and the coral honeysuckle. Notice all those red and orange tubular flowers. Remember, bees prefer yellow flower. They nectar a lot on yellow flowers, a lot of different flowers. But the reason hummingbirds prefer red and orange is because they know that bees nectar on yellow, and there's less chance that there's going to be a good nectar source there because the bees are taking advantage of it. But there's also, because this is solidago or goldenrod up top, it is like the most important, it's rigid goldenrod, I believe, and it's what blooms on the roadsides, and you see so commonly in late summer, early fall. And this is a hugely important plant for monarchs. No, they don't lay their eggs on it, like that's milkweed, but they do nectar on these flowers because it's so plentiful, and they get energy source. And hummingbirds nectar on them too. The trumpet vine or trumpet creeper in the bottom left grows wild along fence rows and hedgerows. Landscaping that can be tricky because it's aggressive. It's a vine and it crawls and it takes over. So you want to, if you're going to use it, you want to confine it to an area like a fence row or something but the hummingbirds love it, and they definitely cross-pollinate those flowers. Ironweed is on the upper right, and then the bottom is this Royal Catchfly. This is just a handful of plants. But what you're wanting to do, you want to create a great flower bed where you've got lots of choices for them, and they can nectar on those, and takes a little bit of pressure off of the hummingbird feeders that may be being dominated by an adult male or an adult female, and the young would take advantage of the flowers. They're all going to, and they need that variation in diet. They need to nectar around and fatten up. So they'll start thinning out, and they'll start heading south. The adult males leave first. The adult females leave next, and then the young, which don't know what the story is yet, their bodies start telling them to go. And then it's really when the winds start shifting from the north, that getting those cooler north winds, that at their with those that wind at their back, those hummingbirds can start their migration south, and that is a arduous journey. And it's amazing, these little tiny birds that weigh hardly anything make that thousands of mile journey down south. So, and they'll be back April 15th, tax day. Mark your calendar. But enjoy the rest of the show this summer. They're gonna put on a lot of entertainment hours at your feeders. And if you got a camera hummingbird feeder like I do, I'm really enjoying watching them out there. It's a great time. So if you like the program, please give us a like, give us a share it, with your friends and family. That really helps the channel grow. And then send in ideas for future programs, because I want to talk about what you want me to talk about. So until next time, let's talk birds.